Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, ready? Here we go.
Radio in motion.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight on Radio in Motion's Full Throttle High Octane episode in honor of the movie that's out right now in theaters starring Brad Pitt, Formula One. So we'll definitely have some more great music tonight. But first up, we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And I haven't done a movie review in a while because I tell you, the movies lately are just, I don't know, they're filled with pandering and ideologies and filled with some sort of lesson we're supposed to learn and just filled with nothing entertainment-wise, not even a good story, and I think lackluster and lazy writing, and usually woke Full Throttle. And it's nice just to see a normal movie that can actually appeal to a wider audience and coming out of it feeling like you were entertained. So this is Formula One, starring Brad Pitt, and as I mentioned before the break, some movies come around and they really do sort of pay homage and like I said, a love letter to a particular thing. And for Top Gun, it was aviation, and for Formula One, that's what this movie is, definitely to racing. And of course, there's all kinds of racing. I grew up in a small town in the USA, and yes, just like you would see in the movies, stock car racing was definitely a local thing, and I used to love that. And of course, you go all the way on up to full-on professional stock car racing. But as you move up through the line of Indy cars and all the different types of racing cars, you have to admit, once you hit Formula One, these are the pinnacle of machines. These are the top engines. On that note, I'm a bit worried that they're going to start using electric more. And look, that's awesome. But if you've been to a Formula One race, you have to admit half of the adrenaline for the fans is that sound. You can't beat that sound. A Formula One car is, again, the most finely tuned engine and engineering and a whole team around it. This is the pinnacle. And yes, a lot of it is about how much money you can throw at it, and they do. So that's why these are the fastest cars in the world as far as racing. Look, there might be some super fast jet car, but when I'm talking about actual racing, Formula One is the best. So that's the movie Formula One. I am going to compare this to a couple other movies, and I will say right off the bat, I'm definitely going to compare it to Ford versus Ferrari. If you haven't seen that was about an epic win at Le Mans with Ford beating Ferrari, which was unprecedented at the time because Ferrari was definitely top of the ladder. And a company like Ford that just makes regular cars, mass produces them, they don't make the fastest car. Yeah, well, there was a time they did, and that was the GT40. But look, I'll compare it to movies like that and some other movies. Before I get stuck into it, let me say, first of all, I have to pay it service as far as it was shot beautifully. It looked fantastic. That's obvious. Especially when there's so much money behind Formula One, and then I'm sure when they hear there's going to be a movie, and then they give the director and the actors and everyone full access to Formula One. Of course, they're going to put money into making sure that it showcases the sport in all its glory. And from that, they definitely did. So before I talk about the movie, I wanted to say that just the filming of it is spectacular. So much, CGIs in movies these days, and it is nice when you can still get that realism. And again, I compare it to Top Gun, because as much as, of course, there's effects, but it's when you don't notice them or don't know that they're there, that's when it's done right. And yeah, the fact is Tom Cruise, as you know, no, he's not piloting the F-18, but he is absolutely in the cockpit. Having said that, of course, if you don't know, yes, Tom Cruise is a pilot. Yes, he actually owns planes, but that's Tom Cruise. But in this case, Brad Pitt and co-star Damson Idris, they underwent extensive training and filmed high-speed scenes in modified Formula 2 cars. Now, that's as close as you're going to get to Formula 1. And they raced around on Grand Prix circuits. And these cars were especially adapted to replicate the look and feel of a Formula 1 car. And allowing the actors to perform their own driving stunts, again, within reason, in a safe way. Again, I'm going to point something out about an actual scene, because Ford versus Ferrari, the movie I'm comparing it to, that's based on a real life story, which is always a bit more fun. Formula One is based on the realism of Formula One, an actual sport that exists. But, in this case, the story is fiction. But it is great to get that visceral, real filming look. And you can only get that when you put the actor in the car or in the plane. And yeah, that's hard to do these days with just things like insurance for a movie. If your actor dies, I don't want to be glib, but everyone who's put millions into the movie, hundreds of millions, well, yeah, if the insurance doesn't cover it, you're out the money. So director Joseph Kosinski emphasized realism by using IMAX cameras. So this is filmed for IMAX, which would be quite a spectacle, seeing it at IMAX. So they mounted the IMAX cameras on the cars, on the modified Formula 2 cars. So they're capturing the intense speed and sort of the dynamics of racing without relying on special effects. So right there, no matter what I say about the movie, that's awesome. I think that approach is the only way to truly show the intensity of Formula One. And now Brad Pitt, of course, I suppose similar to Tom Cruise, you get some perks, all right, when you're the star of the movie. And I do think he is into driving himself. Again, Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, similar in the ways that I feel like they're always sort of chasing the Steve McQueen kind of legend. Steve McQueen, fancied himself a racer himself and moderately did well in the racing world. Paul Newman, the same, sort of the old Hollywood cool guys. But Brad Pitt had the opportunity to drive a real Formula One car during a private test session at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. So he piloted, and they say that piloted. I think that's pretty cool. They are going fast. It was a McLaren 2023 MCL 60, reaching speeds up to 197 miles per hour. That's pretty cool. Again, not everybody gets the opportunity to do that. And again, just real quick, I want to mention a pivotal scene out of another movie, just so you can understand whether it's the actors getting the opportunity to be in Formula 2 cars, or just if you're not into the sport itself, you're not into cars, it's not your thing. Let me say, this movie will certainly make you appreciate that. And there's a scene in Ford versus Ferrari where Carroll Shelby wanted to really make, so Henry Ford the second was the one who said, let's greenlight this project. Let's build a car to go to Le Mans and beat Ferrari. But sometimes, when you're the engineers, you're the guys behind the scenes, or the money men, even Henry Ford, someone who has quite a legacy and passion, his grandfather, founding Ford, obviously there's a passion for cars, but do they really understand? So there's a scene where they're not sure what driver they're going to send, and Carroll Shelby's trying to show him that it takes a specific kind of driver with amazing skill to pilot one of these cars. It's not getting into, your Honda or Datsun or average car, no matter how cool it is, even by today's standards. So he says to Henry Ford II, again, this is the CEO of the company at the time and the man backing the millions of dollars to build the GT40. So he took him for a ride around the track. I think they were actually using a portion of an airfield at the time. So yeah, he gets him in the car and he goes, all right, are you ready for this? Because it's going to be intense. And Henry Ford II's like, you see that symbol on the steering wheel, son? Let's hit it. So anyway, he drives him around the track, but like serious, full on. He takes him, full speed and around all the corners. And even someone who is a car maker and a car enthusiast and probably has had plenty of time in cars, was overwhelmed and even actually started crying at the emotional experience. And anyway, at the end, he says, I had no idea. I had no idea. As in, he had no idea the intensity of what it takes to control that machine at speed. And so, yeah, he wanted to impress on him how important it is to get the right driver. So into Formula One, overall impressions, again, I think it's visually spectacular. The cinematography is definitely on track with realism, and that was amazing. Brad Pitt does what he does. What can I say? Especially in easily the past 20 years. Of course, he delivers solid performances, unbelievable, and I think he was perfectly cast and believable for the role. Having said that, I won't get too nitpicky. Again, this is a movie. It is fiction. It's storytelling. It's a bit of popcorn fun. I would say if you want to get picky and if you're a Formula One purist, even Brad Pitt, someone who's obviously aging very slowly, him and B.D. Wong from Jurassic Park, no, he doesn't look his age, but his actual age would be pushing it more than a tad for someone actually driving a Formula One car. I'm just saying, not only does it take the experience, but you need physical strength and stamina, because we're talking pulling G's like a jet kind of a thing. So yeah, a little bit old, but it doesn't take away from the movie. It's not distracting. It was really good. So definitely a popcorn flick, entertaining, lacking a bit of the emotional sort of narrative depth to make it truly great, but it was almost there. Yeah, look, I'm reviewing it. I have to get a little bit picky. Tonally, it's somewhere between a dramatic sports epic and a high-budget racing showcase. But I feel like it never fully commits to either. Again, sometimes it's hard to please everybody, but they try. So my comparison immediately has to go to like a comeback story tropes, which is okay if it works. Nothing wrong with that. But it does follow the familiar sort of, the veteran returns to the game. He disappeared. Where is he? Was he a never was? Was he a, could have been? Similar like Rocky Balboa or Creed or Rush. Rush being another huge Formula One rivalry from the past. But unlike Creed, if you've ever seen that, that's amazing. That's along the timeline of Rocky, part of the Rocky movies. The mentor in Creed, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa, and the mentor-student dynamic was like central to the plot, and that's cool. That's what you like. Formula One, I think, sort of falls short in fully exploring that sort of mentor and student, because that's what this is. Brad Pitt ends up becoming the mentor to come in and show the young cocky buck that it's not all about just you. It's not about being selfish. That Formula One is a team sport, and it is. Believe me, whether you're a huge fan or not, you will get an insight to the fact that I suppose unlike stock car racing, although that in itself is another amazing team sport, just the pit crew itself. But again, Formula One has a pit crew, and it's not just about the crew. Behind it is, hundreds of people all on, super high-tech digital displays with every piece of the car being monitored, the wind, the drag, lasers, and the fuel, the oil, the temperature, everything you could imagine that could have a sensor on it, or that is being tracked with little bar graphs and little graphs. There's 50 people in a room monitoring the car. So Formula One, I dare say, the driver is key, the car is key, but it is a team sport big time. So yes, this is about someone who should be a mentor and trying to teach that. And I think it doesn't fully explore that. It's probably more heavy on the spectacle and the racing, which again, was it worth the money to sit there and see that? Yeah, that's what you do. You want to go to the movies and be like, oh my God, this is awesome. And from that point of view, it was. So as I said at the start, I have to compare it to something immediately like Ford versus Ferrari, which has a similar feeling. And the thing that is cool about Ford versus Ferrari, now that one's based on a true story. So that makes you sort of sit there and Google the facts and try to compare it. And yeah, look, I'm sure it took some artistic license, but that one, I think it knew what it was after a little bit better. And of course, Ford versus Ferrari is also filled with awesome racing scenes and actual scenes with real cars and real drivers. And mixing, I'm sure, with some effects, but you wouldn't notice. It all blends together seamlessly. That's there, but the story, I think, between the relationship of Carroll Shelby, Shelby is famous, if you don't know. He is one of the most amazing car designers, and Ken Miles, who was the driver. So they were front and center. And again, that was what was so cool about that story. And I watched that movie over and over to this day just to see their scenes together when they're having a bit of banter or fighting or coming together to do something cool with the car. That relationship is so much fun to watch in that movie. So what can I say? Maybe sometimes it's also just about chemistry between the actors. I think with that one, maybe it worked out about better with the actors themselves. Look, Formula One leans heavily on the races themselves, and I think it sacrifices some of the quieter moments, I would say, of character development. Sometimes you need that quiet moment. You need to stop and rest and go, this is cool. Again, I'm not having a go at when you go to a Formula One movie and they give you constant racing that you didn't go, it had too much racing. That's ridiculous. Having said that, even as a car fan and a Formula One fan, there were probably at least, I'd say, a good 5 races that actually could have been left out of the movie to save some time and tighten it up, because it is an extremely long movie. And for a long movie, you need to be really held by the story and the characters. Otherwise, you do start noticing the time. So that's one of my criticisms, is I feel like they could have shown the progression of Brad Pitt's character and the races and what was happening, the rise and the fall, with a bit fewer races. We didn't literally need to see every single race on the circuit. Again, that's just the first sort of criticism. And so I have to get into, for the true Formula One purists and the fans, that could face, I suppose, criticism for the movie for playing sort of fast and loose with actual Formula One rules. Again, if you're like, I'm not that particular, but I'm talking to the people who are particular, they will be like, some of this really is a bit, they're just, again, playing a bit fast and loose. That would never happen. You wouldn't be able to do that. Real fans may find sort of the portrayal of the sport overly, dramatized, or, Hollywood, very Hollywood version of what Formula One would be. Authentic looking, but I suppose lacking the strategic and sort of even the political complexity that actually defines real Formula One. There's a lot going on there. But hey, it's a Hollywood movie, so that's what you get. Again, there were some scenes where, without giving away spoilers, there were things that Brad Pitt was doing that was the whole, oh, well, this is how we used to do it, and maybe you should try this. For example, this isn't a spoiler, but there was a tactic whereby he would, do something with the tires or bumped another car or even gotten a mild wreck, not hurting himself or anybody, for the specific reason of holding up the pack so that his teammate could get ahead in the field. Again, you're like, oh, that's a great tactic. I'm sure that really happens. I'm pretty sure if you do it once, they might go, that's weird. In the movie, it's done multiple times, the same sort of exact thing. And everyone's going, boy, he's just a terrible driver. Oh, shucks. Well, red flag. Everyone's slowing down. Oh, but look, his teammate is in front and getting to get a lap on everyone. I think they'd cotton on to that. But again, that's only if you're a purist. For the casual viewer and car enthusiast, plenty of car porn. No other way to say it. It fully is high-octane visuals, close-up shots, engine roars. You will love it. But even the car enthusiast might feel it overdoes it on race footage. Again, I think some scenes feel redundant and sort of slow in the pacing. Like I say, it's okay if the next race is totally different and something happens, but it's kind of like, we need a montage. It's a montage. And there's a lot of that going on. I feel like I just saw this in the last scene. I get it. He's doing better. The team is rallying around Brad Pitt, and he's trying to show them this is how you work together. I feel like that could have been done and shortened up a bit. But yeah, the performances goes without saying. Brad Pitt suits the role well, charismatic, gritty, physically convincing for his age. The supporting cast is fine, but a bit underused. Emotional investment in the characters is a bit low because they feel underdeveloped. Like I said, in Ford versus Ferrari, for example, that relationship was more at the center and more pivotal scenes, the quiet scenes. And then that gave you enough time to see the characters develop and become friends. And then when the high-octane scenes came, the stakes were higher. You know what I mean? Look, that's all a movie is. You sit there, and I don't care who's on the screen. You put yourself in the movie, and you want to be invested. So that's the thing. That's why you can't just constantly have, even in a Formula One movie, it can't just be constant races. And then with, Brad Pitt, if we put him enough on the screen, even if the scene's only a minute, they'll get the point. I think they should have leaned in more to the relationship to really build that mentor-student ideal. So again, other comparisons you could make, Rush from 2013, balanced rivalry, strong characters, and thrilling racing. Days of Thunder, of course, another Tom Cruise one. I always wonder if he's done Top Gun, will he come back around to Days of Thunder, Rising Flame? I don't know what he's going to do, but it's possible. Look, Days of Thunder was another sort of flashy, surface level racing film, but not too deep. But hey, if it worked for Top Gun, we might see a remake of Days of Thunder, or hopefully a continuation with Tom Cruise. That'd be cool. And of course, Le Mans, 1971. That was a pure racing aesthetic, but again, weak on story and characters. Moneyball, funny enough, I have to go with Moneyball, and that's another movie that Brad Pitt stars in. If you want a movie that handles sports and strategy and character development well, that movie does really well. I really love Moneyball. Again, another one based on a true story, which is always fun. So what worked? Visuals, obviously. Editing, sound design, all top notch. IMAX worthy, absolutely, 100%. Go see it in IMAX. Brad Pitt's charisma and star power carry a lot of the movie. That goes without saying. I'm pretty sure they knew that when they cast him. Some good moments of intensity and drama on the track, which is what you want. Like I say, if maybe the movie was tightened up a bit, there weren't so many redundant sort of races and a bit more character development, seriously, this movie would reach much closer to the stars. Again, who knows how it will do in the theaters? The money gods will decide that. Who knows? What didn't work? I suppose that the pacing did drag a bit during the repeated scenes, and the plot didn't move much. Unfortunately, that's the thing. You knew what it was, and you were just waiting for it to develop. Lack of emotional depth in characters and relationships. Again, like I say, you're like, well, what do you expect from Formula One? For the amount of money they spend on movies these days, it does take more than that. Otherwise, you might as well just watch a documentary on Formula One. Welcome to Formula One and all behind the scenes. This is a movie starring Brad Pitt, coming back to racing, the lone wolf. So you're going to want a story. Again, not enough unique perspective or innovation to set it apart from other racing films, unfortunately. But in the end, absolutely a decent watch for action or racing fans. Entertaining, but I'd say not the definitive racing movie, unfortunately, because it has these pieces missing. And again, this is all about opinion. That's movie reviews in a nutshell. You decide for yourself. Don't listen to me. I'm just giving you the fact that, is it worth watching? 100%. But, you might come away feeling some of these things yourself. Entertaining? Absolutely. And if you're looking for emotional resonance, character chemistry, story first filmmaking, I would rather recommend Ford versus Ferrari takes the lead in this race. Again, highly recommend that movie. You're going to get everything you want from Ford versus Ferrari if you're a fan of any racing. So there you have it. Formula One is, it's slick, it's shiny, like the Formula One cars themselves. It's a well-driven spectacle. Yes, I used that pun. But yeah, maybe missing that emotional horsepower to make it truly legendary. Again, I don't know if it'll be a legendary racing film. I think it will be the Formula One movie at the moment. But maybe in the future, someone could put another spin on Formula One. It's out there. Brad Pitt, he fits the suit. The sound is thunderous and amazing, and the visuals are, a Formula One dream. But the storytelling, a bit lackluster. And I think we've seen better races. So look, that's it for me. Again, it's very much worth seeing. I was just, I guess, hoping for something a little bit different. And again, when comparing it to other sports, comeback movies, and again, something semi-recent as Ford versus Ferrari, it doesn't quite hit the mark. All right, so that's it for me for my review of Formula One. Stay tuned tonight for more high-octane, full-throttle music on Radio Motion. You're listening to 99.3 FM Sunbeat Radio. Here's a word from our awesome sponsors. We'll be right back.